In this session, we're going to talk about fill and stroke of the shapes. I create a rounded rectangle in the center of the scene. I increase its roundness by scrolling. Okay, it's good. As you see, when we select a shape, at the top, three options appear: fill, stroke, and width, which is the width of the stroke. Here we can select the fill color of the shape. I click on it and change its color. If you click on Fill Text, a window will appear that has a couple of options in it. The first one is None, with which the fill will be removed from the shape. The second option is Solid Color. It fills our shape with one single color. The next one, Linear Gradient. It makes us a gradient, and with the help of these handles, you can adjust the combination amount of the colors. And the last option is Radial Gradient, which makes you a radial gradient. Here's the opacity, and you can adjust its transparency by this option. You see, I can adjust the combination amount of this gradient by using this handle. Also, I can come here and by clicking on this button, change its color, and also this one. So we can change the color of the gradient. Stroke is the same as fill. It has None, Solid Color, Linear Gradient, and Radial Gradient. And here is the opacity. By clicking here, you can change the colors as well. And here is its width, and you can change its thickness. You have these options in Timeline on the rectangle path. Set this on Solid Color. It will fill. And if it was Gradient, this would be Gradient too. Here you can disable or enable the stroke. Or enable or disable fill. I open a stroke. The first option is Composite, and you can choose the stroke to be below the other objects or above them. Since now the stroke is above the fill, it is not recognizable. I will move it below the fill. Now the stroke is below other objects. If I select above, the stroke will be placed above the other objects, although it's below fill. Let me change it to default and move it above the fill. The next option is color. You could change it from here as well. And you can change opacity from this part as well. Stroke width is the thickness of it. Here is line cap. Let me create a line here to explain line cap better. Disable title, action safe. Open the stroke of this shape to explain line cap. This option makes the end of your lines cap or round or projection that includes the whole path in it. If it is set to butt cap, it will be placed at the end of path. So, line cap is for the end of lines, and line join is for the corners. For example, I change line join to round. You see the corner will change into round. Miter makes it sharp, round makes it round, and bevel makes the corner like bevel. The next option, which is important, is dash. You can change the stroke into dashes by clicking on this plus icon. By dash property, you can increase the length of dashes. I press plus once more. Gap property increases the space between these dashes. So, gap increases the space between dashes, and dash increases the length of dashes. And offset will move these dashes. Now open Fill property. Here we have Composite, which is the same as Stroke. This places the fill under other layers. and above previous in same group places the layer above the others. By choosing this, although fill is below the stroke, this option places fill above the others. I set this to its default setting. The next option is fill rule, which is used when your shape is too complicated. Let me explain it briefly. For these kind things, we open fill. When it is set on non-zero widening, the fill contains the whole shape and it's visible all over the shape. But in even-odd mode, closed areas of the shape won't contain the fill. Let's go back to our example. I explained fill rule. Color is obvious and we already know opacity. So these were fill parameters. But here if we set fill on linear, the fill will change into gradient fill, and we will have more options as well. You can set type to radial or linear. In order to make the handles of the gradient visible, select Gradient Fill and then select Pen Behind tool. As you see, the handles appear. Start point is this one, which shows the area of the first color, and end point is the second one, which shows the area of the second color. And here we have a combination of two colors. In color property, you can choose colors, and here you can set its opacity. For example, you can set it to 0. You see, here it disappears. And this is the opacity of the whole gradient. In the next part, we will discuss about the rest of the shape parameters.